come and join me and we'll make some pinwheels and wall hangings together. So a couple of weeks ago I had the privilege of going to Branson, Missouri and going to the quilt shop called Quilts and Quilts fabric shop. And if you have a chance to go to Branson, it's an amazing experience. I got to see Queen Esther on the stage and it was so amazing. So at the quilt shop, I found this beautiful panel and I'm going to show you some more of it. So they're all little sayings, and what I plan on doing with it is cutting them apart and making each one a little wall hanging. So this is called Good News, Great Joy. It's a motif fabric. So anyway, so this one along with it, it's a little charm pack. And so it has, even though you've got the different shade of a red, it's an orangish red. So it's like a vintage red. They had fabrics that went along with it. So I went ahead and picked up the charm pack. And what I plan on doing is making little pinwheels to go around it. So come and join me and we'll make some pinwheels and wall hangings together. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure between the words from the top panel and the middle one so that I can cut right in between the two of them. Okay, so I'm straight with my words. So that's one thing that you'll be able to see is the words, whether they're straight or not. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the cut. I like both of these, but I think I'm going to work with this one. All is calm, all is bright. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and break this open and just separate it out and see what we have for colors here. There's some fun ones. It's kind of like Christmas when you're opening up a new color swatch charm pack. Get to see all the fun fabrics. I love those. Those are so cute. Little pine cones. When you buy the charm packs, it's fun because then you can have, like, you don't have to buy a yard of each one. In fact, we've got all these fun, cute ones that are matching up that we could put together. So this is when the creativity starts. So already, like I said, I really like being able to put the fun matching ones together. So I think I'm going to put, since these match, I'm going to put these two together. And then we'll put the red and green together. So I'm just setting them aside for the ones that I'm matching up. Get some poinsettias. And you can do it however you want. We could do, they all match, right? So we'll be creative with that. So however you decide to match up yours is just fine. so now we're going to do the technique where you sew all the way around the square, and we'll come back and show you what to do next. For this particular thing, I really like using this one. So when we line up our ruler, we're going to have the ruler just slightly to the side of the point so that we can cut on the point. Okay, so now you can see that the point is lined up with this angle here and with this angle here. Okay. Okay. And the reason why I like this is because then we're going to turn it and we are going to cut on the opposite angle. Okay, so let's open it up and see what we have now. Look at that. Do a little finger press. Now there's several different ways you could do this. You could sew it like this way, or there's another way too that I can show you later. Okay, so now when we have another one sewn, then we can mix them together and we can make little pinwheels with them. Okay, so we'll set this aside. Okay, so we'll just look at it and see, well, what would I want? Which one would I want to go with it? Just for the fun of it, I'm going to do this one. Okay, so I'm going to do exactly the same thing with this one. I'm going to sew all the way around it, come back and cut it. Okay, now I have all of my pieces cut. So you can see that I've got all these. So this is enough to make 2 squares. Okay, so I'm going to pick which ones I'm going to use and set aside the rest. So I just need 4. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so you can see that there's little tells, and we're just going to go ahead and just trim them off. Just go straight across and trim off our little tells so they're out of the way. Okay, and we got those all trimmed off. So now we need to set up our design. We want the colors to be heading the same direction. So if my dominant color is my red and my dark green, then I want my red and green to be facing the same direction. Okay, so you can see that they're opposites and opposites, each of them, and this is what gives us the pinwheel effect. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and sew them side to side, and then we'll bring them back. I'm just going to finger press them open. Okay, so remember what we're looking for is we're looking for the opposites across, so we can get the pinwheel effect. See how it looks different each way you turn it. So if I turn them this way, then it looks more like a little box or a diamond. If I turn them this way, now I have the pinwheel effect. So you have to make sure that you have it facing the right direction, or you're going to have a different pattern. So if you want the other one, that's great. But my pattern that I want is the pinwheel. Okay, so now I know where they're at. I'm gonna face them down towards each other. I'm gonna lock them in and put a little pin in it, right in the center. Okay, we'll sew it together. take it to the ironing board and press it. Okay, so there I have my little pinwheel like I wanted. So now what we're going to do is just make several of those. Okay, so when pressing this, I want to take it and hold it taut and then just come across, press it, and then I'm pressing all of it at the same time as I go across. I just want this center seam to lay flat, is my goal. Okay, now I'm going to turn it to the front. Okay, so this particular one, we can see I did all of the little pine cones of all the different shades that it had. So let's go make some more. Okay, now that we've got these all sewn together, I am going to line up, I think we'll do 3 then 3, just to get them all cut quickly. Okay, I'm gonna go to the iron and iron them all now. So now I'm just going to trim off all of the tails like we did before and then set them up so that we can mix match and make some really cool looking pinwheels. So I'm actually going to keep all of these little pieces. These can be used in different things that call for confetti. There are a couple patterns that I may be doing next year that actually call for little confetti pieces. And if you have some stored up, then it just makes it really easy. Just pull out your little baggie of all your confetti to use in your pattern. Okay, so now I'm playing with all my different squares and trying to see how I want to line them all up together. What I'm trying to do is have one dominant color going the same way and then the off color the other one. So it's just figuring out, you know, it's just playing the miss and match game, deciding which color you want to be your dominant color. And remember that they're always opposite each other, so this side then this side. So I could do it like this, but what I'm finding is if I don't have one color that is repeated, then it kind of makes it so it's difficult to see the pinwheel. And that is the effect that I am going for, is the pinwheel look. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just lay them on top of each other and put one pin in them. So just so I can keep them, which set is going together, I'm actually pinning the sets together. So I know that is a set. Otherwise it could get really confusing fast if I don't do that. Now we will go sew them all up. Okay, so I'm going to give my little panel a quick iron to make sure it's all ready to sew on the pieces. Okay, so this is the fun part. This is when we get to take our little squares that we've made and just start placing them around and see what would look good. So I think I'll take it off this board. Get a bigger spot here. And turn things around, back and forth. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sew these together, those together, those together, and those together, and go from there. So when we're designing our own little wall hanging, we have to do our own math. So this is when I'm going to take my little piece and I'm actually going to measure it up. See how much I have. And I'm going to look at how much white I have on top, how much on the bottom. There's less on the top than there's on the bottom. If I wanted to, I could go like that. Would I want to cut all of that off? Would I want to center it or come up a little bit here and cut off that much here and maybe that much here? So that's what we're doing right now, is just checking it out and seeing what exactly, where exactly what I want it to be, and just putting it in different locations also. Okay, I decided to switch mats. I noticed that this mat has little dots on it, and it's actually going to help me to make a better decision when measuring it. And I was able to line it up and figure out how much I wanted to trim off a little bit easier than the other mat. Okay, so let's line it up again. Okay, that looks really nice. I like that. Okay, so now we're gonna check out the top. Okay, so we've got the same thing going on with the top. We're gonna have to trim that down a little bit too. So I want my middle line to go down the middle as much as possible. I'm even gonna just line it up a little bit. Okay, so this is my center line. I want my center to go to that line. And then my other center to go to that line too. So I'm going to figure out the center on both ends. Okay, so we can see that there's not much that we're going to be taking off over here, maybe about 1/2 inch over here. This all lined up again. It makes it really easy when you've got your lines that you can line up to. And this is kind of how it is when you're making your own pattern. You're going to have to do your own measurements and just figure out how much I need to trim off here and there, and then on this side okay. So I'm going to go ahead and sew this to here and this to here, and we'll go from there. So as we can see, we actually are going to need 4 more squares. So we're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, once it's all sewn on the sides, then go ahead and press it on the back and on the front. I already pressed on the back, and I am doing the front. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to pin the 3 pieces together for both the top and the bottom. So I've pinned this one together, and now we'll take this. The key is to line up right here this seam along with this seam so that they nestle in together, and pin it. And then we'll pin the corners to make sure that they are lined up. And we'll do that on the other side too. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and sew them up now. Okay, so we're gonna sew the top on, and then later we'll sew the bottom on. Thank you for joining me as we made a Christmas wall hanging.